Galne Gunnar TV. Simply the best.
Joining us now, and I'm not sure he's still on the phone after that little intro, he's from Jihad Watch. And I want him to keep an eye on these screaming trees while he's at it. This is Robert Spencer. Robert, what's up?
Well, they're still coming, but I'm still on the job. So.
Well, listen, it seems like you have a new ally there. I was shocked that Cameron was this much off the reservation on the multi-culti thing.
That was great, yes. Yeah. Really, the force of events are going to show that what I've been saying all these years is true, and then more and more people will wake up, and I think that we're going to see many more statements from unlikely people like Cameron's.
Well, why at this point with Cameron? I'm glad he made it. I mean, I thought it was really courageous. I thought it was eloquent. I thought he nailed it. But why right now? What has happened over there that has made him do this at this moment in history?
Well, what's been going on for years there is that the government has been turning a blind eye to the spread of groups like Al-Muhajirun and others that are jihad groups that are openly calling for the overthrow of the British state and the establishment of an Islamic state there. And they've really crossed so many lines so many times that eventually it reached critical mass. And they have had several parades taunting British soldiers, denouncing them as war criminals, returning soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And they have been saying that they're not heroes. They've been trying to disrupt rallies and welcoming ceremonies for them.
So
and
enough's
so that
enough.
Gave rise to,
Yeah, listen, you got to understand, in the radical Islam world, the Westboro Baptist Church would be considered the moderates, quite frankly.
That's right.
I mean, it's that sort of moronic
behavior. They've been doing nothing about these groups for so many years, and now ordinary English people are taking to the streets. The English Defense League is established. People are just defending British society in their own ways and taking it into their own hands because the government's doing nothing. So Cameron is really late on the scene in that regard, but at least now he is starting to wake up.
Well, listen, I got to give him huge kudos. I can't even use the disparaging language with him because this takes balls for the Prime Minister of England to say this. So late, better, whatever you want to call it. He's, to me, Merkel's, we've heard some bleats from Merkel. You're never going to hear it from our guy. I got to give Cameron the propers for getting in there and saying it out loud like that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so I'm reading the Jerusalem Post right now this morning. I'm trying to get a line on this Muslim Brotherhood now that the day-to-day fracas is winding down. I'm trying to see Mubarak's not going anywhere until later in the year, but when he does go, what's the wake like? Who is his Muslim Brotherhood? I'm reading this mission statement, and it's not exactly Jerry Maguire. These guys just want to run the show, right?
Oh, yeah. They want to establish an Islamic state in Egypt and around the world. This has always been their goal. That's their goal in the United States. Remember, there was a captured internal document of the Muslim Brotherhood that came to light a few years ago that said that their goal in North America is eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house so that Allah's religion is victorious over other religions. Not ultimately a religious statement, but a political one. And they're doing the same thing in Egypt. They are the group that is poised to take power there, whoever else may be involved in the initial ruling coalition after Mubarak is gone. They'll establish an Islamic state there, abrogate the Camp David Accords, go to war with Israel, and set themselves on a course of war with the United States, although really the subversion tactics that they have been practicing are very effective. Nobody really is aware of how deeply the Brotherhood is infiltrated into high levels of the U.S. government. But I remember a few years back there was a Brotherhood operative in the Pentagon, and he got the Pentagon's only expert on Islamic law fired. And so it is very serious. People have no idea, really, that these things are going on.
But it's not. Listen, as I understand that they're going to be around 30% of the people coming to the table in a post-Mubarak Egypt. It's not a fait accompli they take it over. Or do you feel that ship sailed already?
I don't think it is a fait accompli, but the problem is that there's no real counterweight to the Brotherhood. Mohammed al-Baradei is a Brotherhood guy. I mean, they endorsed him for president last summer when he first returned to Egypt. And so if Mohammed
al-Baradei's not going to be the guy, though. He's, for the same reason Matt Millen didn't work out as a GM for the Lions. He doesn't want to work that hard. Al-Baradei's not going to live in some backwoods Cairo community. He wants to be out there in London, over getting a good table at Langen's. So I just don't believe al-Baradei's the next guy. What do you make of this VP? What's his deal?
Omar Suleiman is too identified with Israel because he has been the main guy who has been maintaining the Camp David peace accords with Israel. Egypt has not been very good at observing them, but they haven't gone to war with Israel, and so at least you can give them that much. And Omar Suleiman is largely responsible for that. So he's identified by the rank and file, by the Egyptians on the street, with this peace with Israel, which is, unfortunately, wildly unpopular among Egyptians. And so I don't think he's going to last. The Brotherhood is the biggest group in Egypt, aside from the government itself. They're the ones who are able, in the best position, to seize the moment. And I think even if there is some sort of Kerensky interim kind of government between Mubarak and a Muslim Brotherhood regime, ultimately the Brotherhood is in the driver's seat.
No, I don't want. I made a pact with myself. I wouldn't act fake smart on this show. What is the Kerensky deal? Explain that.
Oh, I mean, the Russian Revolution, which I think there are a lot of parallels to this. You had the Tsar, and everybody hated the Tsar. They got rid of the Tsar and instituted a kind of democracy with Kerensky in charge, and the Bolsheviks were, the hardline communists were part of the government. Kerensky lasted a few months, but he was weak and ineffectual.
I'll have to read that.
And there you go. Then it went into Lenin. And so I think that we're going to see a weak and ineffectual transition democratic government in Egypt that will include the Brotherhood, and ultimately the Brotherhood will end up controlling it.
Kerensky, and then he went on to own the car dealership and marry Liz Taylor. He was like the 8th husband, Larry Kerensky?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
All right, I'll read up on that. Now, listen, what's this column, Obama's Muslim Brotherhood ties? Now, you had a piece in Human Events yesterday. Certainly, listen, I think he's a horribly inept president. I don't know much about him. I don't think he's in the Muslim Brotherhood. What are the ties you found?
Well, I don't think he's Muslim Brotherhood himself. But, yeah, horribly inept, maybe complicit, I don't know. But in any case, look, first, the Islamic Society of North America is a Muslim Brotherhood
Go slow here. Go slow. I want to follow this.
Okay. Islamic Society of North America is listed in the Brotherhood document that I referred to a minute ago that's about eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within. ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, is listed as one of the allied groups working for this goal. Yes. Obama becomes president. He tabs the president of the Islamic Society of North America, a convert to Islam named Ingrid Mattson, to give one of the prayers at his inauguration. Then he sends Valerie Jarrett, who's one of his closest advisors, to the Islamic Society of North America's annual convention to be the keynote speaker. Then he tabs Arif Ali Khan, who was the deputy mayor of Los Angeles and an associate of MPAC, the Muslim Public Affairs Council, which is yet another Brotherhood group, and he brings him in to the Department of Homeland Security. And what's notable about that is that Arif Ali Khan, while he was deputy mayor of Los Angeles, blocked as Islamophobic an initiative by the LAPD just to survey the mosques, not to monitor them, but just to survey them, to count them, to see what kind of people were going to them in terms of ethnicity so they could reach out to them. So if Arif Ali Khan is exercised about a very benign program to reach out to mosques because he said that was hateful and Islamophobic and targeted Muslims, imagine how he would react to any genuine anti-terror measure. But Obama put him in the DHS.
Well, I have to say this. The president, he's not willing to concede that he does not take radical Islam at face value, and that's one of the things I don't dig about him. But I don't see any ties there. And you know what? Valerie Jarrett is a professional ass kisser. They send her off to all these things to kiss a little ass.
Well, yeah, but I think if he had sent Valerie to the KKK convention, people would not be so relaxed about it.
Well, I don't know that I quite get that analogy. But let me say this, Robert. I don't like this guy as my president. He might be a nice guy. I don't get a lot of his stuff, but I have to give him this. He's been a little tougher on terror than I thought he was going to be. Willing to concede that at all, or no?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Sorry. It's not that I haven't...
Well, you don't have to be sorry. I'm just saying that, continuing to stay the course over there in Afghanistan and, Iraq continues to play out, upping the drumbeat on the drone attacks and stuff like that, and keeping Patriot Act intact and, Guantanamo Bay open. He might be doing all that reluctantly, but the fact is he is doing it, and I didn't think he was going to do all that. So I'm a little pleasantly surprised.
Well, that's fair enough, but I think the main problem over in Afghanistan is really Pakistan, and the fact that Pakistan is taking our money that we give them to fight terror and funneling it to those same terrorists, and yet all we keep doing in response to that is giving them more money. It's insane.
Well, I agree that once you start having strange bedfellows with people who think they get killed if they have sex in bed, it's a messy situation. All I know is this: the Egypts of the world, the Mubaraks of the world. When you say give them at least that, that's all I need for them is to not go to war with Israel. Because I know every morning they wake up, they're going to think that the Jews make cookies with their kids' blood. They're nuts. But all I need from them is to not go to war. That's all I'm looking for at this point. So I got to view Mubarak as a success at some point.
Absolutely. That did run. Blood libel did run on Egyptian TV. And so a lot of the anti-Israel sentiment there has been fostered under the Mubarak regime. And now he's reaping what he sowed, because even though he allowed it to be fostered, he is identified with the ties to Israel.
Yeah, he's trying to, when you say foster, I say keeping his head attached to his body. And, he's in the Mubarak business first, last, and but that being said, they haven't marched across any line into Israel to do battle. So that's all I'm looking for out of an Islamic country now. They seem patently crazy to me by and large, and if they're just not actively fighting the Jews, that's all I can expect out of them. All right, Bobby, good to talk to you. You talk straight, but pretty tenuous ties between the Barack and the Muslim Brotherhood, and I would just view it as they're in the feel-good business, and that's why Jarrett's out there talking to ISNA. By the way, usually give the radical Islam this, that they have the cool names with the initials. ISNA's got to be the worst one, right?
ISNA, yeah.
God, they got to come up with a better name. ISNA. Boom, 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 boom.